He thought she was lost without him, but her $8 million secret proved him wrong. Before we start today's story, comment below where you're watching from and hit subscribe if you haven't already. You won't want to miss what's next. The sun was almost gone, shining a tired orange light over a quiet neighborhood in Atlanta. Scylla, a 28-year-old woman with soft, wavy hair, stood still on her porch. She looked scared and confused. Her key would not open the door. In her hand, she held a heavy bag of groceries. Inside was a warm rotisserie chicken, a loaf of bread, and a few cans. She tried the key again and again, but the lock would not turn. "Come on," she whispered, like she often spoke kindly to the people she helped at her job. Scylla worked as a social worker, always helping others. But now her own house was not letting her in. The door slowly opened just a little, and Scylla froze. Vesper stood there. Vesper was her husband Lysander's girlfriend. She wore a silky top that looked like pajamas, the kind you only wear with someone close. Her blonde hair was in a messy bun, and her blue eyes looked mean. Vesper smirked and said, "You don't live here anymore." The words hit Scylla's heart like a hard slap. She gripped the grocery bag tightly. "Why can't I get into my own house?" Scylla asked. Her voice was calm, but inside she felt like the ground was breaking under her feet. Vesper crossed her arms. "It's just paperwork, nothing personal," she said coldly. "Lysander told me you already signed the deed. The house belongs to us now." Scylla's eyes widened. She remembered the papers Lysander had given her weeks ago. He had said they were just estate papers to keep them safe. Scylla trusted him and signed them. She thought it was about love and protecting their future. She had never thought Lysander would trick her. "I didn't agree to this," Scylla shouted. Vesper's smile faded. She stepped back and pulled the door closed. "Talk to Lysander," she said. Then the door shut with a loud click. The lock turned again. Scylla was outside, locked out. She stood on the porch staring at the door. Her hands shook. The bag slipped and the chicken rolled against the cans with a dull sound. This was the house where she had planted crepe myrtle flowers and baked cornbread. It was her safe place. Now it felt like a stranger's home. Lysander, her husband, had betrayed her. He was once the man who danced with her in their living room to Otis Redding. Now he had stolen her house and her trust with Vesper. Scylla blinked hard. She refused to cry. She walked slowly off the porch, her sneakers crunching the path. She reached her old blue car under the flickering street lamp. She left the groceries behind. "Let Vesper eat the chicken," she thought bitterly. Scylla sat in the car and leaned back. She remembered when she first met Lysander. She had been 23 at a fancy charity party. He came to her with 2 glasses of water and made a silly joke about the bad punch. He made her laugh, and she felt like he truly saw her. That night, they danced to slow jazz, and she thought, this is what it feels like to be chosen. They married, bought the house, and dreamed together. She planted flowers, she baked bread. She believed their love would last forever. But things changed. Lysander started working late. His phone buzzed at night. His kisses became quick and careless. Then Scylla lost a baby at 6 weeks. She was crushed, but Lysander was already pulling away. She saw Vesper at one of Lysander's work events. Vesper's hand stayed too long on Lysander's arm. Scylla's stomach twisted. Later, she found a receipt from a coffee shop she had never been to. When she asked Lysander, he said it was just a client. Scylla wanted to believe him. She needed to. But now she knew the truth. In her car, Scylla held the silver heart charm Lysander had once given her. It felt sharp in her hand. She remembered signing those papers. She remembered how smooth his voice was. He tricked me, she realized. Scylla looked at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were fierce now, filled with pain but also fire. She remembered her grandmother's words from long ago when she had braided Scylla's hair. "Child, love is a gift, but it ain't your whole story." Back then, Scylla didn't understand, but now she did. Lysander had taken her house, he had betrayed her, but he had not taken her. Not yet. The night outside her car was hot and heavy. Crickets chirped and the street lamp buzzed. Scylla's hair stuck to her neck in the sticky air. She was tired, hurt, and angry. But inside her, a small spark burned. Scylla's chest hurt, not just because she felt sad, but because so many questions were in her head. How did I not see this? How did I let him take my home away? The silence around her was heavy. Only a dog barked far away and a car passed by with a soft hum. She looked at the passenger seat. Her purse was there, things spilled out of it, lip balm, a crumpled tissue, her phone, but no groceries. She had left her grocery bag on the porch. That was like a small way of giving up, letting Vesper feel like she had won. Scylla's fingers twitched. She wanted to call someone, anyone. But who? Her mother, who had warned her about Lysander? Her co-workers, who would whisper about her and say she was a sad example? Shame burned her throat, but she swallowed it. Her jaw got tight. She didn't want to cry. Not yet. Her eyes looked at her phone. The screen was dark. She picked it up, her thumb hovering over Lysander's number. A part of her wanted to call him and shout. She wanted to hear his lies and catch him. But another part of her, a stronger part, whispered, "He doesn't deserve to hear your voice." She dropped the phone, breathing hard, and leaned her head against the steering wheel. The plastic felt cool on her forehead. It helped her calm down a little, even as memories of Lysander's betrayal played again in her mind. Vesper's smug words. The locked door. The papers she had signed without knowing the T-Nova. Every thought stabbed her like a needle. Scylla lifted her head and looked at the mirror. The woman staring back at her looked tired but not broken. Her brown eyes were still strong, even with dark shadows under them. She remembered her grandmother's words from long ago. Love is not your whole story. But what was her story now? Was she just a wife thrown away? Was she just a fool who had been tricked? The questions hurt, but deep inside, they also woke something strong. She didn't want Lysander to write her ending for her. She reached for her purse and pulled out a small leather notebook. Its edges were worn from years of use. Inside, it had prayers, lists, and numbers written in her neat handwriting. She flipped through the pages until she saw one she had written months ago. "Don't let money make you loud. Let it buy you time." Those words shook her. Money. Her secret. Her heart raced as she remembered. The lawsuit. The fight against her old job. The nonprofit that had ignored her for promotions because of her race. She had gone to court. Not for fame, but for justice. Her lawyer had proved it. She had won. The company had paid her $8 million. The money had been quietly placed in a trust under her maiden name. She hadn't told anyone. Not even Lysander. Not because she didn't trust him back then, but because she wanted one thing in her life to be safe. Private. Her grandmother would have called it a sacred reserve. Lysander didn't know. The thought hit her like lightning. Lysander thought he had stolen her safety by taking her home. He thought she was weak and helpless. But he was wrong. She wasn't broke. She wasn't powerless. A small smile grew on Scylla's face, the first real smile since she had stood on the porch. She imagined Lysander's smug face falling apart if he ever found out. That thought was like a spark in her chest, starting a fire she hadn't felt in years. She opened her phone again, but not to call Lysander. She opened her bank app. The screen showed the number 8,124,762. Untouched. Hidden. Growing quietly all this time. Scylla's breathing slowed. Her mind became sharp. Lysander had underestimated her, but even she had underestimated herself. She had let love make her soft. She had let trust blind her. Not anymore. The notebook lay open again. She picked up a pen and wrote, "Get the house back, not for him, for me." Those words were a promise, a vow in the night. Scylla leaned back, the car seat creaking under her. The night didn't feel so heavy anymore. She thought about the women she helped at work, women who had suffered, women who had been betrayed. She had always told them, "Your strength is in your next step." Now it was time for her to believe her own words. She didn't know where she would sleep tonight. Maybe a motel, maybe a friend's couch. But one thing she knew for sure, this was not the end of her story. Lysander had taken her house, but not her power, not her will, not her millions that he didn't even know about. A streetlight flickered, shadows dancing across her face. She put her notebook back in her purse, her fingers brushing the little heart charm one last time before dropping it inside. She started the car engine. The soft rumble was like a quiet promise. The road ahead was unknown, but Selah felt clearer than she had in years. She wasn't just a betrayed wife anymore. She was a fighter, and the night was hers to begin again. The morning sun broke through the hazy sky of Atlanta, painting the city gold. Selah drove her old sedan through busy streets full of cars and people rushing to work. Her hair was tied in a loose bun with some strands falling free around her tired face. Her back ached, her eyes burned, but the spark from the night before was still inside her. In her purse was her notebook. On one page, the words, "Get the house back for me." Those words beat like a drum in her chest. She didn't know the whole plan yet, but she knew who could help her. Nyla, her best friend. Nyla's sharp mind and sharp tongue could cut through any storm. Selah pulled into the parking lot of Sweet Auburn Cafe. The brick-walled cafe smelled of fresh biscuits and hot coffee. Music floated from a jukebox, soft saxophone notes mixing with the clinking of mugs and chatter. In a corner booth sat Nyla. Her hair was pulled into a high bun, her navy blazer sharp against the red booth seat. At 28, Nyla was already a civil rights lawyer. She had a laugh that could make anyone feel safe and a stare that could stop anyone in their tracks. She had been Selah's rock since college, the one who had cheered when Selah won her lawsuit and cursed at the company that had hurt her. Nyla looked up from her phone as Selah slid into the booth. Her eyes narrowed. "Girl, you look like you fought a ghost and lost," Nyla said, pushing a warm coffee mug toward her. Selah gave a tired half smile. She wrapped her fingers around the mug and whispered, "Feels like it. Last night, I had some big realizations." She sipped the coffee, its bitter taste helping her focus. She set her notebook on the table. Its leather cover felt soft, like a lifeline. "All right, spill," Nyla said, leaning forward, her gold earrings shining in the light. "Your text said emergency. What did Lysander do this time?" Selah exhaled. She didn't want pity. She wanted a plan. "He locked me out of the house," she said slowly. "Vesper was there. She told me I don't live there anymore. She said I signed the deed over." Nyla's jaw tightened, but she let Selah finish. "He tricked me." Selah continued. "He told me the papers were for estate planning, but really it was to take the house. Now the locks are changed and I'm out." Nyla leaned back, her fingers drumming the table. "That's fraud," she said sharply. "Plain and simple, you signed under false reasons. That's not legal." Selah nodded and opened her notebook. Inside were notes, dates, conversations, even how Vesper had smiled too much. "I wrote it all down," Selah said. "I didn't know why then, but now I do." Nyla's eyes lit up. "You're a genius," she said. "This is gold. We can use this timeline. We'll file to cancel the transfer. I know just the lawyer, Juno Blackwood. She's a shark." Hope warmed Selah's chest. Small but real. Then Selah leaned closer. "There's something else. I have money. A lot of it." Nyla raised an eyebrow. "Savings?" Selah shook her head. "8 million. From the lawsuit. I never told Lysander. It's hidden in a trust under my maiden name." Nyla froze, her mug halfway to her lips. Coffee sloshed. 8 million? She hissed, lowering her voice. "And you let that fool play you like this?" If you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe and share your favorite part in the comments below. And don't forget to drop a heart to show your support. Selah's lips twitched, almost a smile. "I didn't want money to change my love for him," she said softly. "But now it's my weapon." Nyla's grin spread, sharp and fierce. "Oh, we're going to destroy him," she said. "He thinks you're weak. He has no idea." Selah's heart pounded. Not from fear, but from determination. She pictured Lysander's face, his fake charm, his lies. A steel resolve filled her bones. For the next hour, they planned. Nyla built a timeline. Sela added details. Vesper's mention of an apartment in Midtown, Lysander's late-night calls. Every piece became part of their case. By the end, Sela felt something she hadn't felt in years. Power. Nyla squeezed her hand. "You're not alone," she said, "and you're not that woman who signed those papers. You're the woman who won $8 million and kept it quiet. That's who's fighting now." Sela nodded, her throat tight, but her heart strong. Sela closed her notebook and put it inside her bag. The notebook felt heavy, not because of its pages, but because it was full of promises and plans. She stood up from the cafe table, and the door made a soft chiming sound as she left. The morning sun was shining brighter now. It didn't feel mean anymore. Sela knew she was not ready to meet Lysander yet, but she was ready to prepare for what was coming. That was enough for today. Later, the afternoon in Atlanta felt heavy and warm. The air was thick, and Sela could smell that rain was coming soon. She drove her small car down streets she had known for years. Her wavy brown hair blew gently through the small crack in the window. She thought about the meeting with her friend Nyla at the cafe. That meeting had lit a fire inside her. Together, they had made a plan for justice. Inside her purse was the notebook. It was more than paper and ink. It was her shield, her map, her proof of all the lies Lysander had told and how she was now awake to the T-Nova. But before courtrooms, lawyers, and judges, Sela knew she needed one last thing. She had to face Lysander. Not because she wanted him back, not because she missed him, but because she wanted to look him in the eyes and remind him who she truly was. Her heart beat fast, steady, but strong, like a drum. She turned onto her old street. There was the house she once called home. It looked like a shadow of her dreams. She parked in the driveway. The sound of gravel crunching under her tires was sharp in her ears. She noticed the yard right away. The pretty crepe myrtles she once planted were gone. Instead, there were neat little bushes that screamed of Vesper's taste. They looked cold and lifeless. Sela opened the car door and stepped out. Her sneakers were quiet against the path. She wore her green cardigan, and to her it felt like armor, like a knight's shield. The porch looked smaller now. The blue paint was chipped and broken, a sad reminder of the dreams she had once poured into this house. Sela climbed the steps, her breath calm and steady. She knocked once on the door, sharp, loud, and strong. The sound echoed like a challenge. The door swung open, and there stood Lysander. He wore a faded t-shirt and old gym shorts. A bottle of beer dangled in his hand. His hazel eyes, once kind and safe to her, widened when he saw her. Then they narrowed. His jaw tightened. "Sela," he said. His voice was short and cold, like she was a package that had been delivered to the wrong house. "What are you doing here?" He leaned against the doorframe, blocking her way, his body stiff and defensive. Sela looked straight at him. Her eyes didn't move, and her beauty seemed sharper now, like it had grown stronger. "I don't need much of your time," she said softly. Her words were clear and cut like glass. "I came to say something." Lysander glanced behind him, maybe checking if Vesper was inside. Then he sighed and stepped onto the porch, closing the screen door behind him. The creak of the hinges stabbed at Sela's heart, but she stood taller. She remembered Nyla's words, "You're the one who won $8 million. Use it like a shield." "If this is about the house," Lysander started, but Sela lifted her hand. "Let me finish," she said. Her voice was velvet, soft, but sharp like a blade. Lysander closed his mouth. He forgot about his beer for a moment. "I loved you, Lysander," Sela said. Her voice shook, not from fear, but from the heavy T-Nova. "I gave up my dreams, a career in New York, nights where I could have built my own life. I chose you. I built this home with you. Not because I needed you, but because I believed in us." Her lips trembled. "And you paid me back with a new lock on the door, a woman in my place, and lies about papers I signed because I trusted you." Lysander rubbed the back of his neck and looked down at the ground. His voice was thin, almost weak. "You signed, Sela. I didn't force you. It was just business to protect." "Don't," Sela snapped. Her words cracked like a whip. "Don't lie to me." She stepped closer. Her eyes burned into his. "I heard Vesper. I heard her talking about your apartment in Midtown. I heard about your plans to sell this house. You thought you could erase me, but you can't." For the first time, Sela saw something flicker in his eyes, fear. "I'm not here to fight," Sela said. Her voice was strong, like a river flowing. "I just want you to know something. I am not broke. I never was. I have enough money to buy this house 10 times over." Lysander's face froze. His beer almost slipped out of his hand. His lips opened, but no words came out. "You didn't know," Sela whispered, her voice soft but dangerous. "Because love is not money. Loyalty cannot be bought." Lysander stuttered, "Sela," but she shook her head. "I have a lawyer now," she said. "This isn't over. It's only the beginning. I wanted you to see me one last time before everything unfolds." She saw something break in his face. Maybe it was shame. Maybe it was the first spark of realizing how wrong he had been. "You'll learn what a real home costs," she said quietly. Then she turned. Her sneakers thudded softly against the porch steps. The air smelled of rain, sharp and clean. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. Lysander's silence followed her. She slid into her car. Her hands were steady on the wheel. The engine came alive, low and strong like her heart. She had faced the past, not to take it back, but to bury it. As she drove away, the first raindrops touched her windshield. It felt like a baptism, like she was being washed clean. Soon, the courthouse in Atlanta rose tall before her, gray and heavy under the cloudy sky. Sela sat inside on the third row. Her wavy hair was tied in a low bun. Her navy blazer made her look serious. She was ready. Nyla sat beside her, tapping her pen on a notepad, her eyes sharp and full of fight. Sela's notebook was in her lap, worn from all the late nights she had spent going over it. Every page was a weapon now. The hearing was quick but powerful. Juno Blackwood, the lawyer Nyla had found, stood tall and spoke clearly. She told the story step by step. The papers Lysander tricked Sela into signing, the new locks, Vesper's overheard plans. Sela's notes were shown on a big screen with dates, quotes, and proof. Juno's voice was firm and sharp. This was not business. This was theft. Lysander didn't even come. He was too afraid. The lawyer explained why. Lysander was drowning in debt. His risky real estate deals had failed. He and Vesper had borrowed too much money to live a fancy life. They needed to sell Sela's home to survive. The judge frowned, writing notes. At last, her voice rang clear. A clear case of misrepresentation. The transfer is void. The property is restored to Miss Sela Johnson. The gavel came down. Sela's home was hers again. Outside, Nyla hugged Sela tightly. "You did it," Nyla said, smiling. Sela shook her head. Her voice was soft but firm. "We did it." But when she drove past the house that evening, she didn't stop. The porch, the garden, the missing crepe myrtles, all of it felt like a stranger. That house was no longer her dream. She wanted something new, something hers. With her secret $8 million, Sela bought 4 small houses in Decatur in a warm, vibrant neighborhood. They were simple bungalows with big porches. She named the project Haven Homes. It was for young black women who had been betrayed or left behind, like her. The first woman was Nova, 30 years old, who had been thrown out by her boyfriend. Then came Solana, 27, whose sister sold their family home while she was sick. Sela gave them keys, smiling with tears in her eyes. "This is yours," Sela said. "No one can take it away." They planted marigolds together in the yard. They cooked Sunday dinners. The smell of fried chicken and peach cobbler filled the air. Laughter filled the rooms where once there had only been pain. Sela didn't live there. She rented a small apartment nearby. But Haven Homes was her heart. Lysander, meanwhile, had lost everything. Vesper left him. His debts followed him to Florida. Sela did not laugh at his fall. She didn't care. Her victory was not about his ruin. It was about her rise. One evening, Sela stood in the garden at Haven Homes. Nova was sketching flowers under the porch light. Solana was humming in the kitchen. The sky above was pink and soft. Sela looked at her hands. Once they had been clenched in anger. Now they were open. She was ready for whatever came next. The Decatur sunset painted the sky with bright orange and shiny gold colors. It looked like a big painting made by the evening. The light fell over the porch of Haven Homes. Sela sat in a wicker chair, holding a warm mug of mint tea. The steam rose slowly into the air like a tiny whispering prayer. Her wavy hair, soft and loose, glowed in the evening light. Her face showed peace. It was not a tired face, but one that had found rest after many storms. In the garden, the marigold flowers danced in the breeze. Their golden petals shined like little suns, reminding Sela of all the life she had planted here. Haven Homes was not just one house now. It had grown into 4 small bungalows. Inside them lived women who were starting over, finding new strength and healing their broken hearts. Their voices mixed together like a song of courage. Sela was the leader of this place, guiding them with steady hands. Her life had changed after winning in court. The house she once lost was gone. But with the $8 million she gained, she built something new. She turned her pain into purpose. Haven Homes was proof that broken hearts could bloom again. But on this evening, under the beautiful sky, Sela was looking for something more. She was searching for closure. Nova, who was 30 years old, sat on the porch steps with her sketch pad. She was drawing the marigolds, her pencil moving with new confidence. Solana, who was 27, sang softly in the kitchen as she made peach cobbler. The sweet smell of it floated through the air. Her voice was gentle, mixing with the sound of clinking dishes. Sela smiled. Those sounds felt like medicine for her heart. Lysander, the man who betrayed her, had left scars, but now Nova and Solana, her sisters in survival, were her family. Haven Homes was not only a shelter, it was a promise that no one would ever again make them feel worthless. Sela still had her own small apartment nearby, just a 1-bedroom space where she went to rest and think, but her real heart lived here, at Haven Homes. Every day she taught Nova how to make budgets and save money. She helped Solana fill out nursing school applications. On Sundays, she cooked big dinners of fried chicken and cornbread. The smell always filled the air, wrapping everyone in comfort. On the porch, the Bluetooth speaker played Nina Simone. Her deep voice sang, "I'm feeling good." The music floated in the night. Sela took another sip of her mint tea and let the song fill her bones. She was not the same woman who once cried outside a locked door. She was not just the woman who stood angry in front of Lysander. She was Sela, whole, free, and strong. She had written a new story for herself. That morning, she had found a letter slipped under her apartment door. The envelope was plain. The handwriting was Lysander's, the same old slanted writing she knew so well. There was no return address. Maybe he was afraid she would find him. Sela had felt the heavy weight of history in her hands. She carried the letter to Haven Homes but did not open it right away. Instead, she watered the garden and laughed with Nova when a bag of flour spilled. Now, in the quiet night, Sela finally opened the envelope with a butter knife. The golden light of the sunset touched the paper. The letter was short. The blue ink shook on the lines. It said, "Sela, I was wrong. I don't know why I did it. Maybe greed. Maybe I thought I deserved more. I don't ask for forgiveness, but you didn't deserve what I did. I hope you're okay, Lysander." Sela read it once, then twice. Her breath was calm. Her heart did not shake. The words were too late, too small. But something stirred inside her. Not anger, not sadness. It was clarity. She folded the letter and tucked it into her notebook, right beside the vow she once wrote in her car. Forgiveness, Sela realized, was not for Lysander. It was for her. Forgiveness meant she was free. She did not need to reply. She did not need his apology to know her worth. Letting go was her final victory. The marigolds watched over her as she breathed out the last of the pain. Selah leaned back in her chair and thought of her grandmother. She remembered her wise words. Love ain't your whole story. Her story was here now, in Nova's sketches, in Solana's songs, in the laughter spilling from the kitchen. It was also in her new idea. She was planning free workshops at Haven Homes to teach young women about money and legal rights. She wanted to protect them so no one else would be tricked the way she once was. She would use her money to lift others up. The night grew louder with crickets singing. Selah set her mug down, the soft clink making Nova glance up from her sketch pad. You good, Selah? Nova asked with a smile. Selah nodded. Her grin was wide and true. Better than good, she said. She meant it with all her heart. Just then Solana peeked out of the kitchen. There was a smudge of flour on her cheek. Cobbler's almost ready, she called. Y'all better save room. Selah laughed, the sound light as air. The sunset grew deeper, painting the sky with new promises. Selah thought of all she had lost, a house, a husband, a part of herself. But then she thought of what she had gained, something far greater. A family of souls, a fire of purpose, a light no betrayal could ever dim. She closed her eyes and breathed in the night air. The scent of mint and marigolds wrapped around her. Her story wasn't finished. No, it was just beginning. She was ready to write its next chapter. And Selah's journey from being locked out to finding a new dawn showed a simple truth. Strength can grow even from the deepest wounds. What about you, dear friend? Did Selah's story make you feel hope? Did it remind you of your own strength? Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us where you're listening from, your city, your time, your heart.